I am on mute. Oh well, I didn't have anything exciting to say anyways. Another one for the producer. Another mistake for the producer. Okay, is this the only place where I bet there's one? Yep. I figured there'd be another one on this side. Yeah, I'm all out of sorts. I don't know what day of the week it is, or you know, what I was saying went in for like 6 hours today, which sounds crazy to go on a Sunday, but I don't really want to go in at 2 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. And besides, I was kind of worried about what exactly had transpired. It's almost kind of like you got a test to see if you got cancer or whatever, and you don't check your results. You know, I want exactly to find out what had transpired, reconcile everything that happened in just 5 work days. Yeah, it's a good thing I don't really think about work while I'm not there. Otherwise, I'd probably be certified going crazy. Lots of people wearing patches on the cruise. Man, if I had to wear a patch or something like that, I don't know that I'd be that excited about going on them. Okay, and then we'll flip back over to this side. And a little bit of white to complete the whole thing. Are we here? There we are. Hey MP, what's happening? Good evening. Not yet for me. Just after 4 p.m. And you guys are around 9 or something like that. Over there in Greenwich time. All right, I need to get a beverage. I'll be right back. $9.15. Yeah, I can't keep track of whether or not the whole daylight savings works or isn't. Or I wish they'd just do away with that. Although I prefer this time. I don't want to come home from work and it'd be dark. I got too much stuff to do. I got too much stuff I want to do. Okay, so this is pretty much okay. It looks like we missed a lintel there. Probably bring those up some more, make them a little brighter. And the beams here on the floor, I guess technically that would be floor joists. Well, if somebody were watching my feed this morning, like, I'm going to paint the inside of this building green. Like, oh no, it looks terrible. Well, I wasn't going to leave it that color. You know, we're going to bring it up. It just needs to have a little bit of a greenish hue. I didn't want the inside of both of them being exactly the same. Like they painted it with a different color paint. Just like this wall, this isn't white. There's a little bit of brown in it. You know, but you got to put it next to something else to kind of notice that those differences in colors are there. Okay, so let's get a little bit of black over here, and this. What? This is a silly name color, isn't it? Territorial beige. Get off my property. You're preparing 3 little dioramas: a 172nd Sherman in Normandy, a T-34 76 in winter, and a V-150 in a scene of Vietnam. Is Vietnam a popular topic outside of the United States? I'm surprised that it is. I've never been into Vietnam. I had a friend of mine who was really into Vietnam. That was like his favorite thing. I'm just not a fan of asymmetrical warfare. And I wasn't a fan of asymmetrical warfare before it was even called that. Or maybe it was always been called that, but the public didn't know about that. The original asymmetrical warfare is Victorian. What's that? Sword and the Flame? Yeah, you got fuzzy wuzzies, and one side's got pith helmets, and the other guys have, basically no clothes. But a friend of mine was really into the Vietnam War, really big into it, which is strange because he didn't have any relatives that were in it. I would think that, that would be like a big reason to be into it. Same reason I say, American Civil War. So many people, oh, my great-grandpappy once removed was, part of this regiment, and they didn't like the other people, and, there's blood feud, and but would rather do Vietnam than American Civil War. So I'm just not interested in American Civil War at all. But if you're doing a diorama, you could do just, you just paint a couple things and you move on to something different. It's not like you got to do a whole host of Vietnam type things. The V-150 is actually a really good looking vehicle. There's a lot of vehicles that I think that are really attractive that I just never get around to building because they're a time period where I just don't do stuff. I don't really do modern stuff, but if I did do modern stuff, one of my favorite looking vehicles, and I don't know whether it was a piece of crap in real life or not, but the Saladin armored car is just a great looking little vehicle. I don't know if it was worth a damn, but it's got a gun in it, and it, it's cute. Most armored cars are attractive. Except for that French one that has those balloon tires, that post-war French thing. I think it's got a 90 millimeter gun or something like that. That's ugly as shit. Still better looking than that duck truck. DUKW truck. Amphibious deuce and a half they used in World War II. That's a really unattractive vehicle. It's like an ugly pair of galoshes. Love the World War II German trucks, especially the Opel Blitz. It's a classic looking truck. I like the American Dodge. The American Dodge things are really, especially a 3/4 ton like ambulance or whatever. That's a good looking vehicle. Those British CMPs and the quad, the little quad tractors, those things are cute. The Russian trucks are ugly as shit. The GAZ half track, the GAZ trucks, they're just really unattractive. The Italian trucks are interesting looking. The modern U.S. truck, I think it's called an M35. That's a good looking truck too. And you forget about trucks and unarmored vehicles and stuff like that, but all that stuff's important. They're fun to build. They're useful in scenarios because, they can get shot up pretty easily, so you got to play keep away with them. But occasionally there's some vehicles that I just don't care for. And one of those is the Kettenkrad. I think the Kettenkrad is just ugly as shit and not very useful. What are you going to do? Move two guys around? Not very useful. I remember back in the day, if you wanted to get a German truck for 1/35th scale diorama, you basically had to get the Protz from Tamiya. And you could not find, back in the day, I never found a picture of one of those being used, ever. They were on a newsreel. Everything's like an Opel Blitz. So, that was a little disheartening way back when. Now you can find pictures of them because you got the internet. Opel Blitz is one of those vehicles that says what it is on the front of the grill. Modern trucks it'd be like a big Toyota written on the front. Well, no shit, it's a Toyota. Opel Blitz Opel Blitz one's really small. Opel Blitz, like a little, about this big on it. ZIL 157 Commando Soviet truck from old ICM. Very good details. I see real videos. It was a beast. ZIL 157. Let's see. There's a couple of Soviet trucks are actually pretty attractive looking. ZIL 157. That's not a bad looking truck. Not a bad looking truck at all. I never liked the Soviet BA-64 armored car. I think it looks silly. But it's better than being out in the open. All right, so we've got that done. Let's get the windowsill part. Do play, please. Not sure what that means. if I play face-to-face stuff, I'll be filming it. So if I haven't filmed it, it's because I'm not playing face-to-face stuff. I need to find people that are free on Saturdays. I'm not in there. Everybody's in a hurry for me to play. Oh man, it sounds like you're having a good time. I'm having a good time even if I'm not playing. I like, but I do like how people are concerned. Man, you need to get some gaming in. No, what I need to do is game with folks that are busy. And I plan on being able to leave this set up. You build the T14 Armada from Zvezda, excellent kip top details. It's just not an attractive vehicle. I got nothing against the Russian vehicles. It's just not an attractive vehicle. But the thing I don't like about modern tanks, probably the thing I like the thing I like the least about modern tanks is that all the NATO tanks all have that stupid 3-color scheme that they used in the Cold War. The green, the armor dark yellow, and not the armor dark yellow, the base color green, the rust type color, and then the black. And it's like, you got the Germans that say have that, the US and Europe. It's like, it just, I can see where it's practical, but it just, from a modeling standpoint, it's kind of boring if everybody's the same. I built a couple of Zvezda things, and I'm not sure how I feel about them. They don't go together great. Doesn't mean I won't buy another one. I built a few of them. Oh, yes. What I like more, the desert campaigns and winter, Eastern Front, World War II. The only thing I don't like about winter, the only thing I don't like about it is even when you do the camouflage right, sometimes it just doesn't look right. Things can look too sloppy. But that's where you kind of you use your own artistic license and go. I don't want to paint a Panzer IV that looks like they smeared chalk on it. It doesn't look right. So yeah, I like the Eastern Front and the desert the best. No doubt about it. And I don't mind Northwest Europe with the Americans and stuff because there's this idea that the American stuff is boring looking, and it is if you let yourself paint it boring. You know, you got to give things personality, or they're just all going to be like blah, and nobody's going to want to paint. I mean, that's why the Germans are so popular, is because they have all kinds of different paint schemes. You can go in all kinds of different directions with them. So. I'd say their tanks look cool, but just about everybody's tanks look cool. Just about everybody's World War II vehicles look good. All except that damn duck truck. I hate that thing. Not a fan. Not a fan. Not a fan of that duck truck. I'm going to use this as the border on that sign. What other World War II vehicles really unattractive? Really unattractive. There's some weird things that are really unattractive, but I don't think a Panzer I's very attractive. As a matter of fact, I think they're ugly as shit. Not a fan of the Panzer I. Doesn't mean I don't have one. I do. I don't like short-barreled Panzer IVs without a turret compartment. So I don't like a France and earlier where they didn't have a little basket behind it. It just looks weird. Like it's missing something. But if you do the desert, you're probably not going to encounter one of those. They were already doing a little. I don't know if that was the catalyst for doing that, actually. It might have actually been. Well, we need extra compartments for hauling shit across the desert. And pretty much all the Panzer IIIs and IVs that went into Russia, Barbarossa already had the turret compartment on it. I'm probably going to end up having to go to bed early. As night before last, I went to bed relatively early and woke up late, which made my drive back from South Florida easy. However, I stayed up last night later than I normally do and woke up back at my work schedule, so I only got 4.5, 5 hours of sleep, something like that. Okay, what do we got left on this thing? This is dry. I'm going to go ahead and dry brush these tiles on there. Okay. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make when the wife gets back from the grocery store, I'm going to make a coffee. We're ran out of coffee. And I'm not really a fan of the coffee taste, but man, you can get some shit done with coffee. The power of the can-do power. So this sign is going to be, I'm going to cut out a piece of plastic and put it on there so we can make it French when we need it to. This is going to be eastern front and the western front. Both of them. Both. Let's get some of this black out here. Did I put it back? No, it's this one. Oh, this may actually be the older one. How are we looking on the rain front? We might get some rain in about an hour and a half. We could certainly use it. Let's get the corners. This one actually painted up pretty quickly. find something to wake me the F up. I'll be right back. Let's compare to the other one. Well, they look like they could be in the same town. Yeah, I think so. I think I need a little bit more highlighting here and some white. I think I use some complete white on there. And of course, this marquee looking thing. Several buildings have that. I don't know what they're going to be at this point. And a little bit of the sandstone that we have on here. This is actually a little too big for that one. Close this up. Yeah, we don't want that spill. Not that it would make a huge difference, but let's go ahead and use this color. So this is pretty much done, this one. We just have this marquee that we're going to have to paint. Something. Get a little piece of plastic. Put that on top. And yeah, it should be good to go. Looks kind of equivalent to this one here. And they could almost work like they're part of the same building. You can put them next to each other. You can put them across the street from one another. And you could put one behind the other. They almost tie in. Almost. You know, there could be something like that. This is supposedly the original one has a floor here that I'm probably going to build something with balsa wood. But I'm not going to get bogged down in that at this moment. Oh, these are not. Other than the ceiling of them, of course. That means you only got one left. And this is the one that I had to do a fair amount of repairs to. A fair amount of repairs, and it's pretty rough. It's really pretty rough building. You know, you've got this wall here that's got like, some of the bricks are gone, but they look like they're spackled over, so. And the one thing on here that's really weird is if you look at this wall, it's just kind of strange. Like, it's caved in a little bit, and there's some stuff. So I think by the time we're done with it, it'll be just fine. But it is rather odd the way it's kind of set up here. So we're going to, you know, do the brick first. I don't think there's any block on this thing. This is all brick or spackle over the brick, and then work around that way. Yeah, we had to repair the whole floor here. This came in pieces. When I got this thing shipped to me, it came in all kinds of different pieces. It fell apart. So we super glued that thing back together, and hopefully it's durable enough. And it's another one with a marquee. Big old chunk taken out of the side here. Staircase. This is actually one of the more rough hewn ones from them. I'm sure it'll turn out just fine by the time we're done with it. I think I'm a little tired looking at this thing though. I'm gonna get a fresher one. Alright, we're going to start off with the brick red, which is this whole red here from Vallejo. Okay, is there any brick here on the side of this? There is not. I'm not really sure what that is, but it's not brick. So all the brick is pretty much just this bottom piece here. Lord help me. You're on the hovels and blot sites. What's the blot site? Looking at enough. Let's switch the chat here, and let's switch the chat back. Looking at enough stuff to build a full adobe wall town. What's a blot site? The only thing I don't like about this is that I am going to have to build a floor to it. And the floor is going to be something like maybe the thickness of this. Obviously, we're not going to use this material, something a little more durable, but MDF or something like that. So that we can have, we'll call it a sidewalk or something like that. Blotz is the MDF terrain, but it's nice and cheap. Lord help me, I got to look at it now. But I have really good power of not buying stuff. I wasn't always that way, but Blotz. I never heard of Blotz. We're going to do a Blotz MDF. Maybe they won't have anything in 20 millimeter and I'll be immune. War Games terrain. 6 millimeter, 8 millimeter. Gee, just invent your own scale while you're at it. 20 millimeter, 32. Good Lord. What do they got in 20 millimeter terrain? City walls. Oh, great. We could storm Assyria. Crash Starship. Dark Ages, Desert Fort, Eastern European. Ruins. World War II. Well, this is probably just defense stuff. Barracks, cooler, guard tower, hangar front, sleeping hut. You could do like Hogan's Heroes, the game. Military camp, Middle East. What's Eastern European on here? Russian village building 4. I need a barn. I almost bought one from some Ching Chang Chung thing on eBay. But I think it ran pretty small. I need a barn that a panther could fit into. It's in the scenario. Speaking of floors, there's those plastic textured sheet you get from model railway shops. I think the main brand here is Wills. We don't have a railway. Actually, I went last weekend. The weekend before, I went on the last trip. I went down to the next town over, and they didn't have shit. I mean, they had some railroad stuff, but I'm gonna build the roads. I'm gonna build the roads on MDF. I think I'm gonna get some MDF and glue. What do you call it? The sanding belt down, and have it. You'll see. It'll look good. It's gonna look good. Or I'm not doing. I've gone this far. This stuff looking this good. I'm not gonna just be we'll just use felt for the road. Nah, it's not gonna work. There's no stores you could go and get stuff at anymore. Actually, I don't know how that hobby store is in business. They had a fair amount. I mean, it's a pretty small footprint, but they had quite a few things on there. But they're trying to cover everything. Like, they didn't have any 1/72 scale tanks. Probably a good thing. I don't need any. But Yeho Puma's supposed to be good for asphalt. Maybe. It probably would work. It would work well. I'm going to try that sanding belt stuff that I have because I can just put down a whole bunch of that. If not, yeah, the pumice would probably work. Or this stuff I really don't have much of a use for anymore. I still have some of the resin sand from Liquitex. Is the natural sand. It's thinner. Yeah. Believe it or not, I never thought about it. I guess this would work just fine. I guess it would. Did I end up buying a new one? Or are we low? get one. I think we need to get one. Yeah, this should work just fine for that. Yeah, this might actually work better. They don't have to worry about gluing it down. All right. Perfect. I hadn't really thought about it that far ahead. I feel like I just bought one though. Maybe that is the one I bought. I don't know. I think MDF should work fine. Bevel the edges. All right, here we go. And so you got some areas here that they're almost smooth, so we're gonna put like that's had some spackle coating that came off, which that'll look good. It'd be good for some variety. Got an MDF train station or something like that was pretty inexpensive on eBay. I resisted buying that as well. I'm real good about just putting stuff in a cart and then go, that was fun. And then not clicking buy. Because that just distracts me. Let's say it was free. I don't want it here. You know, it's just distracting. I'm not doing that next. I need to stick to my guns and finish this. I'll get pulled in too many different directions. Boy, this is a sloppy looking wall. Yeah, see, look at this chunk that's here. It's just weird. It ended up turning out okay. It was just kind of odd. I got to deal with that. Now, if this building was supposed to be in good shape, yeah, you're screwed with that. But we'd come up with some kind of a story why that's that way. You know, building's got herpes or something. Tell you what, I've done several of these buildings, and I'm not really tired of doing buildings. I guess that's probably a good thing. It's a good thing because there's more to do. But I'm not going to roll those downtown ones. Those those aren't really suitable for what I've got going on right now. We'll use them, but those are going to take about a week each. No brick here. A little bit there. Some here. All right. Now we're going to take a wee bit of this. There we go. Bombardment. Bring on the rain. We can use it. $25-pounder off-board artillery. This comes out well. We got a lot of different things we could do. I've always said one thing that would be really cool to do would be to have a wrecked airfield, like at Sidi Rezai. Well, one thing at a time. One thing at a time. It's not very big. I hope it brings some rain. Actually, the footprint of this isn't very big. Okay, let's Now, some of this area is going to have spackle. So I think I'm probably going to use an off-white color for the spackle. At least for the one on the outside. So let's go ahead and do the treatment of that while we're at it. This side is just methed up. I probably am going to use the sandstone for that, just to go on that area is heavier. Okay, we've gone all the way around this thing. Let's see how the brick color compares to, say, something else that I'm happy with. And it's kind of hard to tell because we don't have the lintels and everything painted. It seems to be okay, so I'm going to go a little heavier in these areas where there's supposed to be spackle on it. It's going to use the same color. I run out of this stuff. I'm going to end up buying. I'm going to spend a little bit more money on and use the folk art. Folk art's thicker. Rather it be a little thicker to work with. All right, so this area here definitely has some spackle on it. So we're going to come in and hit that kind of heavy. And we got some down here. It's going to look kind of pinkish, but we're going to come back several times with it. And then this looks like the bricks almost kind of disappeared. So I'm going to go over this like there's a skim coat that's on here, and some of it's fallen off, but some of it has not. Okay. And the same thing all the way up here at the top. And some of this is kind of rough too. And this area here. And this is just the bottom layer. We're going to ignore the inside. We're going to use a slightly different color in there so it doesn't look like I was lazy. Okay, I'm going to dump that. See if we can get a brush that's a little smaller. cheap ass brush. You know, if I don't paint this way, then it's going to look like it's the sloppy mortar work anyway. So it's going to look out of place. So okay, so we may come back and revisit this when we get towards the end, brighten these areas a little bit more, but that's basically where the spackle's going to be. Well, that's where it is on the actual miniature, the model. In those areas right there. So let's go ahead and do the interior. Make this come to life a little bit. Now, I'm going to do I'm going to use a bluish type color. When I mean by bluish, it's not going to be blue. It's just going to be a little bit of a hue to it for this area in here. Granite gray. Well, you can call it whatever you want. It's bluish. Almost like the underside of a Spitfire. Not quite duck egg blue, just a little shy of that. Sky. Sky's a weird color. Sky's got some... Every time I close this fucking thing, it's a disaster. Grab one of these brushes and let's mix a shadow color for this. And with the shadow color, we're going to dry brush the inside. Picked up some red. I guess it still has some vestiges of red. It's not a big deal. There's a lot of this brick dust in here anyways. It'll all iron itself out. I've seen people make these Stalingrad type dioramas or boards that just have just tons of freaking red dust everywhere. came really close to pulling the trigger on some bricks over the weekend, or over the week actually, and talked myself out of it. I'm like, nope, let's get the buildings finished. Once you get the buildings finished, you'll worry about the bricks. All right, so we're gonna go over this. Okay. Oh, it's gonna rain. Got a little bit last night. I don't think it rained at all while we were gone on vacation. Could certainly use it, or we're gonna have to start planting astroturf out there. Really, really dry. And there's some parts of Florida where people gotta go work in canoes. Flooding galore. Yeah, the inside of this building, for instance, looked like the guy that was doing the spackling was related to Picasso. It's like a spackling shit show. Okay, and we're gonna add a little bit of white to this. And this is going to be a wooden floor. Let's see what some of these other inside of some of these other buildings look like. Let's take this one. Yeah, we still have some of this brick to brighten up in different areas. It's not quite over with. Hold on, I'll be right back. All right, so what color are we going to use for the inside? Well, this has obviously suffered some kind of damage or something, so I want this to be dirty looking. And I'm actually not really opposed to using the same color and just dirtying it up some. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And if I don't like it, like I've said, I'll just do it again, which I've said that every time, but somehow it's come out okay. Unfortunately, I'm not able to redo it. I'm disappointed I haven't had to redo it now. So we're going to go in and we're going to add, where is this brown at? The brown ass color. Let's add some of this in here as well. It's like the color of a dirty elephant. Want to paint the inside of the building. What color paint were you thinking? Soiled elephant? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's just, I don't know what's going on there. It's just I don't think that was, I think it was just sloppy workmanship on it, not necessarily like damage, because damage would be like, if you've got like a wall and part of it's coming out. This is like, the wall was supposed to be 8 inches thick and they decided to make it 20. with the extra spackle. They just, hey, what do you want to do with this extra spackle? I don't know, just put it on there. You know, so it's shoddy workmanship on the mold or something. I'm not really sure what happened, but like I said on that other piece on the outside, I'm sure we'll be able to make it look okay. Just making excuses for the sculptor at this point. And I'm going to go ahead and use this soiled elephant color as well on the inside. Not that I need to paint the inside, but not painting the roof on the inside. That's just asinine. Now we're just wasting my time. All right, now we're going to take this I mean, honestly, it's almost like the consistency of like a cave wall. This is like a rock face or something. It's like a rock wall you're climbing on the way to Guns and Everone. I don't know what the backstory of that is, but it's a pretty shoddy built building. If that's that, you got to work that in there somehow. I'm gonna add a little bit more white to it. Okay. Of course, this is going to have a roof up here with gray bluish tiles. But even this is pretty shoddy. Like this fits okay. This it fits inside this. I don't know what's going on there. And then this is just like, you know, it suffered some mental damage. It suffered some mental damage, so. I gotta use a little boy's room. I'll be right back in a moment. Okay, so floor. Yeah, let's do the floor next. That way you can see it kind of coming alive. You know, we're still going to go over this brick again because you know it's not going to look quite as flat as that does. You remember lintels and all that stuff will. And we haven't even sealed this. It'll look even better when sealed, as it always does. Magic of the sealing. Sealant magic. And then after this is done, I guess I got to get off my ass and paint those signs. We got about 4 of them. We got 4 of them to do, including this one has one of them right here. That one's actually pretty small. Okay. So the floor. So in order to do the floor, let's grab territorial beige and black. That black is just a disaster. Every time I close it, I get some on me. Be like every time you eat, you put something, get something on your shirt. If we get some up on the wall, it's not a big deal. It's easy to clean that up. All the buildings I've done, I thought it would have been a bigger deal, but oh, no wonder. There we go, much better. Okay, and that's wooden, and so's this. This is wooden as well. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the roof thing by itself. Because like this, I'm probably gonna paint this the same color. The same wooden color. And we'll come back to that. We'll just pretend this doesn't have a roof on it like all the other buildings. Okay. Now this actually has some roof tiles on it. Those roof tiles will actually match the what's on the roof. Because it actually has some of it showing. Miraculously enough. And so once we're done with this, we're going to figure out what we're going to do for the marquees of the buildings. I think I'm just going to paint them on here. We'll just do them in French. If they need to change into Russian buildings, then I'll make signs for them in Russian. good news with this not having a built-in floor is I don't have to paint it with this kind of detail. It's going to probably make it look like if it was a dirt floor and move on. No point in putting all that effort into individual planks and stuff like that. And now let's take a little bit of the white here. And just a little bit more. Of this. Okay. Now let's make sure if we get this kind of equivalent. Let's grab one of these. Yeah, maybe a little bit more white in a few places. Interesting that you could hop from one to the other, but originally you're not supposed to. Oh, this fell behind. That doesn't matter. Because this sits on here. This sits in here like this. So this is actually the stairs that go to this second level here. This doesn't have an access to it had they not blown the door, the wall. Interesting. So it'll have access to it now, but I'm not sure what's going on here. They're not building these buildings up to, they're building them to some weird codes. before we get too far behind. And let's use the straight color. I'd be wasting a shitload more paint if I was using Vallejo. Well, it'd be more costly, let's put it that way. Of course, it'd cover better, so. And I made this one a little bit more gray on purpose. Different wood, maybe it weathers a little differently. Now there are some roof tiles that are in here, and there are some roof tiles that are in there. Let me check on one thing. I'm smelling dinner. Yeah, well, this is where we're going to stop for the night. So this is, I'll go ahead and put the roof on here just see what's left to be done to it. Actually, a lot of stuff going on this building. Roost for a lot of different things. So, all right, folks. Well, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys on the next one, and enjoy what's left of your Sunday, if applicable.